Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the first of 3 videos I'm going to try to put out tonight. The first one is going to actually review the high probability setups from last week. We'll also kind of bring us in touch with the market conditions for today, and also talk about the new trading platform that I've been using. Well, not to play, but the charting platform I've been using, and really kind of officially announce that this is where I'm going to be starting to do a lot of my research, sending out a lot of the videos using these charts, and you'll see a lot of these charts going on Twitter too. So I just want to, actually review those this platform with you a little, show you some of the features of it as I review the setups from last week. Now, the second part of the video, of course, will be the new setups that go out to the members. But the first part is going to be very special too, because a lot of these setups are active for this week too. So you're going to get a freebie look at some of the high probability setups if you're not yet a member of Day Trading Radio. So we're going to start off and actually take a look at the markets, and we know that the markets are right now in the midst of a fiscal cliff, a combination of a fiscal cliff, a lot of news coming out of Greece, and also a lot of news coming out of the Middle East with Israel in the news a lot, and the looming war that's about to begin over there. So there's a lot of jitters in the market, and it's very hard to have confidence in any longs at this point. There is still some great setups in the market that it's hard to sometimes short those. I tend to stick to quality stocks and I wait for these technical levels to set up. And 70, 75 to 80% of the time those setups set up. There is times when the market does break down, and that's usually because of news or some kind of outside influencing news that hits the market. Other than that, the signal's set up. So going into this week, we know that we do have that news is still overhanging us, yet the market is technically set up to move. So, even though technically I'm very bullish, the news kind of brings that bullishness down into a neutral position again. And going into this week, we also have Black Friday and some other things that are lining up, a shortened week, a holiday week. So again, cautious outlook is still needed here, and and normally during the rest of the year everything's working good. Again, high probability setups work really well, except if there's overhanging news or a surprise black swan event, and that's what we always have to be prepared for. So the TradingView platform, I'm officially using that now. I'm going to actually start officially sending out all my education, trying to use this charting platform to show you how it works today. I'm going to be reviewing a lot of the setups that I send out each week to the members of Day Trading Radio. We do integrate the TradingView platform into our high probability setup section of the site, where everything triggers. We send out emails and stuff, and you're going to see a lot of these setups being reviewed today. Normally you wouldn't see this, but because I'm going to be showing you the TradingView platform, and I'm going to be using this platform more and more, I want to actually show you some of the benefits of it, and just how good of a platform it is for those people out there that are looking for a good charting platform. You have a free version of this. You also have a premium version of this. You get real-time data. What's really good about it, you can follow other people's charts. It's a good social networking charting service. And again, if you listen to Day Trading Radio, you'll be seeing these charts a lot more, and you'll be seeing them on Twitter a lot. So we're going to start off actually taking a look at the overall markets, and we'll start off with the SPX, which is the S&P 500 index. And just a basic look at it, you can see that the market has dropped down. After the election, we had the fiscal cliff news come back into focus, and now you could, just like anything else, it's overblown. It's absolutely, overblown, and then, of course, the combination of the other news events that are happening around the world added to this makes the market very skittish, and again, you can see the market has broken down here. One thing we had on Friday was this reversal candle, and the reversal candle really represents, a possible change of trend, but it's the candlestick that really counts here, and it's because we broke down past the previous day's low and closed on the highs, and typically a reversal like an outside day closes above the previous day's high. Now we closed right at the previous day's high, maybe a penny underneath it, but we closed above the previous day's close, which makes this a bullish engulfing pattern. And this is a very strong pattern I'm just going to take a look at the SPY, which is going to give you the volume on this, and you can see there's a couple indicators you want to watch here on a reversal. Is that volume? Also, we're oversold on the daily, which is a key indicator that I use. And then we take a look at the 60-minute chart. And what's interesting about the 60-minute chart is we got an oversold daily and oversold 60, which caused this little bounce we had on Friday. So we're going to be paying a close attention to this. It's not giving us a tremendously bullish setup, but it is more positive than negative at this point. You know, when we look at the overall markets. And this, again, we trade the markets on a day-by-day basis. It's not like we're looking here to the end of the year, or you know, this is the pullback. No. You know, we profit on these little bounces. What, you know, I try to specialize on is a move from here to here, and a move from here to here, and a move from here to here, and how to recognize those moves and get the biggest bang in the market. And that's what the HPS setups do for you. So, again, you can see my charts are posted here. These are the charts that went out last week on the HPS setup. And again, last week we did go into a market that had a good pullback. So what we do is, again, you can see these are also posted on the site, sent out and stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually review these and show some of the setups here. Now, just, you know, right now I'm just taking a picture of the platform. I'm going to make this live here, so it fixes that little trend line which wasn't set up properly there. And you could want to adjust this trend line a little bit more, and you could see that we broke down, you know, came down here into the buy zone. We kind of broke down. We didn't get, you know, we didn't go down far enough to really look at a stop on this one. Just a small little breakdown, and we pushed right back into that buy signal. So this is currently on Altria MO is one of the best buy signals I'm seeing. If you take a look at the 60-minute stochastics, we're a little overbought here, which is a slight negative for, you know, a continuation move. We might actually see us pull back to this trend line and then bounce. But one thing I want to show you on this platform, and again, you know, you could actually take a look here, and you could see that there's probably a very slight bias, or, you know, something that was looking for a little. It was almost looking like a wedge pattern. This, you know, wedge pattern in a channel is very sometimes hard to distinguish if it's very close. So sometimes you want to extend those trend lines and make sure that wedge ends up, you know, pulling down to a channel and then bouncing back up. One thing I was looking for this week was a breakdown of a lot of patterns. You know, we were looking for that breakdown, but I also understand that breakdown usually comes from a reversal pushing back into the pattern, and that's a trading technique that I use a lot. So even though we did break down here, it didn't go down far enough to get stopped out, and seeing it come back into the pattern like this is really important. So again, Altria will be, you know, we'll review that on the next video and talk about the setup and how to trade that. All right. I'm going to go back here. I want to show you again. Go to ideas published. Biogen was a focus stock I actually sent out on YouTube last week as one of the great setups for this week coming. And again, on a TradingView platform and an HPS platform, I use I started putting in shaded areas representing buy areas and shaded areas representing sell and profit zones. And what was great about the TradingView is they came out and they also now have a section on there where you could also do the same thing. So I started integrating that. It gives you percentage profits. I'll show you that in a second. I want to make this live for a second. You're going to see, actually, let me go back here one more time. We're going to go back to here. And what you see here is this arrow. So you can see when this chart came out, and what you can do is just click on the arrow. And what it's going to do is it's going to update the chart. It's going to fill out the chart from last week to this week, and you're going to see if it actually pulled back down and moved up into the target zone. Now, what we're looking here, and again, the accompanying video was that we're a little overbought on the 60-minute chart. And what I wanted to see was the 60-minute stochastic come back down into an oversold level. Now, if it came back down into an oversold level, it would probably bring us down a little. Now, if it could bring us down into this section, this is where I would love to get my entry. In some cases, the stochastics will move down, and that's my key indicator right there. So if that stochastic pulls down and gets oversold, and that price level maintains this level, it still is a buy level. So it doesn't need to come right down to this level. It just, what I'm really paying attention to it is the stochastics on the 60-minute chart. So we click on that, and you can see, boom, it did pull back a little. It actually popped, pulled back. Didn't pull back all the way, but what happens here, let's take a look at this. Now you can make this live here. What we saw happen here is the stochastic came back down into an oversold level right here. And when we did that, the price came back down to right about here. And from that point on, it was really to buy, and you could see it take off. And that was a really good trigger. It was one of the best bets going into next week, or last week going into this week, and it actually performed really well and pushed back to the profit zone. Never really officially hit the buy zone, but the indicators lined up properly. And if, again, I was really out of the market most of last week because of the conventions and stuff, but the signal was perfect. It was a great signal to look at, and you could see oversold, and then boom, a nice bounce. All right, now we're going to take a look at Altria. Altria, again, this was a great, oh, that's Chesapeake. Excuse me, went over Altria. Chesapeake. Chesapeake here. I'll put a little note on the chart here, and again, you can note these charts up as much as you want, because we see that underlying support right here, a defined level of support, and I've been in the market enough to know that the support line is important. It's always good to buy it off of that, but it's also understand that support lines in this market tend to be a spot where people put their stops in there, and the market tends to come down and take those stops out and then reverse and back into the pattern. All right, just because you read it in a book, people say, well, that's support line. If it breaks support, well, then you better get out of the stock. Well, I kind of believe the opposite. Lots of times the support level is there. The market comes down, takes out those stops, and then moves back up. It flushes the weak hands, and that's what we see so many different times. So I'm actually looking for that buy trigger to be down at 16 to 15.50 area. And again, going into this week, this was going into last week. Take a look at that chart. You can update. You can see that price coming down and exactly coming down into that buy area. So this is really nice. This is really nice. If make that live again, and again, there's different things you could do. You could see over here we have all these different applications, trend lines. You can put your own trend lines in. You could see here these little boxes, and these are people you could actually follow a chart and make a comment on the chart. Here's a member here, actually Glenn Barker, which makes his own little chart. And if you click on this thing, you'll actually see his little his little chart of it, and you guys can discuss the idea right there. You have a little discussion tab, and there's other people who posted their charts on here. So it's a great little feature that they have here. And you also have my signal. So you can see we pulled back into an oversold level. We're starting to break down, and I think this week is actually the week we'll probably see hit this buy area. I would think right under $16, this would be a tremendous buy area, and we're going to look for that reversal and push back into that channel. So again, this stock will also be on this week's watch list. All right, the next one here is Fastenal. Now, Fastenal was another, a stock that kind of expected the possibility of a breakdown here, and looking for that to come back down to that support line. Understand that the support again is not an all line in the sand for me. Sometimes we break down through support and end up reversing. We're going to click our little update arrow here, and then you can see we did break down. We actually broke down through the buy zone, came right down to that $40 zone, and then bounced. One of the notes I wanted to always talk about is the indicator, the stochastic, daily stochastic indicator. Now, this is a 60-minute chart, but I wanted to wait for that daily stochastic crossover, and then I would not add until I got that signal. So let's take a look at that daily chart. What you could do is you could break it down to what you call make it mine. It's going to go live, and then you can kind of manipulate this stock any way you want. Here's the hourly chart, but watch what's special about this. If you go to the daily chart, all those same annotations and notes will stay on there, and your buy signals and stuff will also stay true to the chart. So you'll start to actually see. I'm going to just hide some of those. You could actually zoom in and actually take a look at these shots, and then you can see the daily stochastics down here. We got that crossover, and that crossover was basically right down here, right when it hit $40. So that's really the key signal that I wanted to see. Not really paying attention too much about the support line, but this one actually looks like a good buy zone here. So again, one of the reasons why I look at and review these stocks so much is because they're actually hitting their areas. Now, I do believe that without that news that we had over the last few days, again, the constant pounding in the news about the fiscal cliff, and again, the situation in Israel and the situation in Greece, we probably would have, these probably would have stayed in their buy signals. But because of all this news, we kind of got this flushed down. And when you see that reactionary trade right back into that zone, that's usually what happens. This flush usually is because of news. And now, again, Fastenal, now that it's in its buy zone, daily stochastics just getting that crossover. This is the area I really like, so I'll be looking to probably add to this trade this week, and I'll look for this to get some upside. So this is really a good setup. And again, you could add to the, you could do a lot of manipulation on this. You could continue to add notes, and I'm going to update this chart also and send this out. But this is really a nice setup here. We also have a coil stochastic indicator, which represents this tightening of the pattern, and typically this breaks out and and explodes higher. So there's potential for that to happen too. And this easily could push right back into the into this channel and move higher. All right, we're going to take a look at Chesapeake Energy, and again, the Chesapeake chart. I just want to review this, and because I forgot to mention that when you do have a chart up here, you'll see other charts on the same symbol. So you see all these other charts here. These are other TradingView members that actually are charting TradingView, so you can actually refer back to their charts and actually take on other people's notes and stuff. It's a good feature. I just wanted to go back and show you that because Chesapeake's a good example on that. All right. When I do send out these charts, I put out an accompanying video like I'm putting out right now. It's just a similar thing. The video goes out kind of explaining the thought process, and also every chart has a little education to do. What we talk about a lot, and again, we talk about pivot areas where the price level goes up and moves down, or goes down and moves up, and these are pivots, and these are where you place your trend lines and you build your trend lines. And when you have multiple pivot areas, you could actually start to find patterns start to develop. In this case, we have what we're looking at here is kind of a tightening of a channel, which we call a wedge. But this type of wedge is not a textbook wedge. It's a very a textbook wedge has a steeper angle to it, and it comes to a point much faster than this one. This one is a gradual wedge, and it, whenever I see this, you're going to be very suspect of it. So what I did on this chart is I put this underlying blue line here, which represents really a channel. And when we talk about building a channel, you take the three pivot areas. You take the first pivot, you actually take the first pivot and then the second pivot. And when you start to see that third pivot here line up, in either case, or in this case, we're starting to build off of this chart because the price level is coming down. You have to always keep those trend lines active on your channel lines. But in this case, you have two pivots up here. You have a straight line. And what I'm doing here from this pivot area, I'm making a parallel channel line. So if that price level comes down to that parallel trend line, because I know that this is a suspect channel when I build this. Remember, these are already here. So I already built this out here. I want to see how this level is holding up. If it holds up, all right, fine. But if it doesn't hold up, I also know that this is a great level down here that I want to be involved in the stock. So Wells Fargo, and this is that new feature on TradingView where you actually put your risk reward in. You can put your area where your stop is going to be down here in the 3120, and your target's going to be here, and then you just click on that, and you can see let's take a look at what here. Wells Fargo actually pulled back into a little negative area and then came right back up here. We're probably basically even, and you can see that where we came down to. We came right down to that trend line. We came right down to that dotted line, which was really important. So again, we're in a situation now. I'm just going to make this live, and the reason I make this live is because it gives me the tools, and I can actually use it. We look how important this was. This trend line. We came right into this trend line. Look at this point. The stochastics were oversold. The trend line was hit. This was really a good level, and it actually got a nice bounce on that. Now, again, we're putting, this area is right in the buy zone right now. Again, markets pulled back, but the channel line held up really well. The 60-minute stochastics a little overbought, and that's a little concerning. But overall, I think that this, this pattern again, it will continue to play out, and you'll see this this pattern should be watched throughout the week. If it does pull back to that trend line, again, I think that's a buy area. I do think that this channel is going to play to the upside, and we're going to watch this a little more closer. You have all kinds of things over here that you could use. You could zoom in. You could put some annotations down here. I could throw things in there. Your forecast, your profit long position. If you do looking for a long or short area, you can just zoom that in, and you can actually put that up there and share your charts of what you feel that the market's going to do. So a lot of good new features on there. They're coming out with new features basically every week. Really, I'm very happy with it. So I'm actually doing this video for them. I want to give them a little props and a shout out because they're such a good platform, and I'm very happy now to start using it more on a full-time basis. Especially when I'm going to be covering the SPX during the show, during the day. I want to actually have that. Let me get back over there. And, and again, you can see all the people here, all that are logged in on the ES and track it. You could actually click on one of them and hide it and hide them all and then kind of follow this out right now. So again, we're going to continue on. I'm just going to continue to look at a couple more stocks. Now you'll notice one thing. A lot of the charts you will see will be those recognizable channels, and typically I like trading downward channel lower trend line bounces. That's the type of trade I usually take. The upper trend line tags are a little more dangerous because the downward channels tend to break out towards the upside. The lower trend lines tend to hold on more, where the upper trend lines tend to break down and the top of the channel lines tend to hold on more. So that's why, again, Capital One Finance is a good example of that a trend line breakdown. Even though I was expecting the breakdown to come, I definitely was expecting the breakdown to come. It's hard to tell, due to news, how far that breakdown is going to go and if it gets overbought or oversold tremendously because of the news. In this case, we did break down. And down through the stop area. Again, the stochastics, we always want to wait for the stochastics to set up. So when you're looking at a signal like this or a buy signal like this, you have to make sure that your indicators are lining up. This is really to give you an idea of what we're looking at, to recognize those patterns for you, recognize that. But unless every signal indicator is lining up, it's very hard to actively take that setup if it does set up. And let's just zoom in here a second. I want to go to the daily chart. And you can see right now that the stochastics have first now starting to cross over, got oversold, and it was right off the 200 period moving average. So it did flush down a little bit more, but it actually gave us the signal here on stochastics being the first signal, 200 period moving average. Also combined, again, I was not in the market the last part of the week, so I was really able to take advantage of these, but these are now set up going into next week. So hence, we need to cover those and also say these are still very valid entry levels, even though this channel did break down, and that's what typically you see. Typically don't like to trade these levels unless we're in a very bullish trend, but if we're hanging around news and we start to break down, any type of news could kind of flush us out, take out the weak hands, take out the recent support levels, take it out, and then we reverse and move back up. And every time a bad one might work out, it'll be 5 or 6 good ones that work out. So you got to take the good with the bad. Not every trade's going to work out, but it's still important to take your shot when the best shot is available. Again, it's very important to also know that news is a major factor this week, and the markets are not always going to have this. You're going to know that when things are getting better, that's really the time to really start putting more money to work. And when things are feeling real shaky, drop back on your shares. Don't trade as much. Have a little more patience. It's probably the hardest thing a trader could do is sit in front of that computer and not trade. But you could, again, research is important. Here was a great setup that was active last week, actually going into last week. Before last week, we got everyone in on this one because of the lower trend line area here. There was a good setup You know, I think we got in on Friday, Thursday, and Friday. We're really banging the table on this, and then come Monday, you can see what happened from this. We came up with some really good news. We took profits in it way up here. It's pulled back. It's chopping around, but again, great setup. You can see we're really in a buy zone. Lower trend line was really. This happened to be a news event, so you know this is a positive news event, and just the same as a negative news event would break it down. Positive news event. All right, that closes up the review of last week's, HPS watch list. Not bad for a week that it was full of news and stuff. And again, I was out of the market, out of touch with the markets for the latter part of the week. Looking forward to getting back into it this week. We have a lot of good stocks that I'm going to set up. I'm going to start working on those charts now and get that next video out in a little bit. I already have them set up. There's some good high probability setups that you're going to be very interested to see. I'll give you a couple of hints. We're talking even maybe Carbo Ceramics might be on there again. And Decker, D-E-C-K, looking to put those on the list. Great setups. Again, continue to be in Altria, A-M-O, C-R-R, Altria, Decker. Those are going to be added. And possibly VOD, and again a return visit to ZNH, and even US Steel might even make it onto this week's watch list. So keep a look at that. But again, I'm just happy to announce the very much like using the TradingView platform, the charting platform, working great, and looking forward to that. We're going to go to the home page there. Again, you can see just on the home page how good it is, and you can take actually look at there, Day Trading Radio. Even on Day Trading Radio, you can actually you'll go to that opening page, and you'll see sometimes you'll see actually Day Trading Radio. And what's great about them, we're working with them. They have embedded our video onto their site. So if you happen to see the logo Day Trading Radio, especially on the front page, if you click on that, you'll automatically get a live feed of the radio. Listen, we'll go right live right now. We have Athens doing a Sunday night market watch show.
You've actually lost, so I'm very sorry. Candle low. Okay.
And an excellent trader right there. Trading live right now at DayTradingRadio.com. And he's again covering the opening of the futures tonight and on Sunday, and usually the forex market and overall markets. Great trader and great member of Athens. Again, you'll see that also if you click on one of these charts, anybody's charts, sometimes you could refresh it and you'll see Day Trading Radio come up on the right hand side. So if you happen to be on a chart and you want to tune in, if you happen to see the Day Trading Radio banner there, you could tune in, or you could, here we go, right here it says partner highlight. You click on that, boom, the banner comes up. You can do your charting and also listen live markets right there. All right, no, that wraps it up. Again, I never went into all these indicators on the left-hand side here, but of course, as a charting service, you have all the indicators. You have all your all the different kinds of indicators, everything from stochastics, the volume, moving average, weighted, Bollinger Bands, envelopes. Again, every move, Elliott waves, you name it, they probably have it. Even you get more advanced here when you're talking about your Gann squares, your Gann fans, your fibs. Time zones, fib webs, pitch fans, and all kinds of arcs and circles, any different ways to call out things. If you want to put up something there, you can put something up there, a little note. You can drag that note and put it where you want it. Your forecast, your positions, your profit areas, your date range, your price range. Forecast is really cool. You could put something there. It'll tell you the gain, how much you're expecting, the time frame it should be done in, and etc. It could actually really good. So many different things. You could easily adjust any of the indicators too. Excellent product. Looking forward to using more of it. And if you want to follow me on it, definitely try to do that. DayTraderRockStar is the name. And we'll see you in the markets each and every day. Futures opening up now. I want to get this video out. Stay tuned for the updated membership video. I'll get that out in a few minutes.